is Jenny Lauren Dowden for Conduit News. Today we are joined by a trial lawyer. He's out of Fort Smith, Joey McCutchen. Joey is once again fighting for more transparency, this time there in his own hometown in Fort Smith. Hi, thank you so much for being here with us.
Okay, glad to be here, Jenny. Thanks for having me.
I recently read that Fort Smith city officials there are proposing several tax increases on the people there in Fort Smith. It has been in the news lately. It is an incredibly large sum of money that that the city is asking for. Tell us what is happening and unfolding there in Fort Smith right now.
Well, in essence, what's happened is over the last decades, our city has been in a state of malfeasance. We have let our sewer system deteriorate to such an extent that now they are projecting through a consent decree that we owe the federal government to fix this problem up to $1 billion. We've already paid $300 million. They're projecting $600 million in the future. Obviously, they're desperate to find a fix because back in 2016 to 18, we had historic, and we're talking countrywide, historic levels of utility rate increases, where the everyday citizens are just being bombarded with utility rate increases. Now, they're saying that they have to find a mechanism to pay for the rest of the $600 million. So they foisted in November 16th, precisely in a board meeting, a extension of two separate taxes upon the citizens. And they want us to vote, although there's been literally decades of malfeasance where they want us to vote on through a special election where they know that nobody will show up. They want us to vote on two historic taxes. One is a sales tax, or both of them are sales tax increases, which are regressive taxes to begin with. They have, in essence, made the first one, the 0.25% tax, a permanent tax, proposing that we vote to tax ourselves over a 20-year period, almost $60 million to fund parks and police. And the board of directors had zero discussion about that particular tax, although they have set a special meeting tonight after we had a press conference last week.
Well, is it true that they've known about this since June, but yet they only brought it to the citizens of Fort Smith in November?
Yeah, I FOIA'd various documents. We got to have a June 30th memo where they're talking about the second piece of this tax extension, which is how are they going to divvy up 0.75% of the 1 cent sales tax? They were talking about it as early as then. And again, that is going to be a 10-year tax, over a 10-year tax, $15 million toward the sewer system, $3 million to police. So we're talking a huge, what they call an extension. The bottom line is this is for another purpose. It's in essence a new tax on the people. They foisted on us on November 16th with zero public input. That's my issue. Right. Answer our questions, be transparent about it, have committee meetings on it, get public input. We had a press conference. I'm leading a group called Citizens Against Unfair Taxes, and also the Western Arkansas Transparency in Government group is involved. Jenny, last week we had a lawsuit. We tried a 6-hour lawsuit before the local circuit court judge. As when you have these increases, you start getting darkness. And what happened is they're using an agenda setting mechanism, and they had a private meeting the Friday before this public meeting I've been talking about, where the city clerk polled, per a request from a board member, polled every council member regarding their position privately on whether to include the park tax. I mean, she called every one of them, admitted in court, she called every one of them. We think that's a clear violation of FOIA. The judge ruled otherwise, which was very disappointing, but we are strongly considering an appeal on that issue.
I was going to ask you what you thought about that ruling and what it allows and tells those officials who, in essence, get away with that when you have a ruling like that.
Yeah, it's a clear end run around FOIA, you know, saying, oh, all we're doing is setting our agenda. So what they did in this case, they put two proposals for allocation of this sales tax. One of them included parks, the other one did not. And then using a quote agenda setting municipal ordinance, they polled the board members. They asked, are you in favor of removing this one regarding the tax allocation? And got a 5-2 vote. And if that is not a secret private meeting that the public never got notice of, I don't know what it is.
Right. What do you think about the leadership there in Fort Smith? Is it time for a change?
In my opinion, it is. You know, we've had the same city attorney for decades. And during the same time that Fort Smith was thumbing their nose at the federal government, we violated administrative, and I FOIA'd all these documents. We violated administrative order after administrative order for decades, telling us that you need to fix your sewer system. Because particularly the students of the citizens of north side of Fort Smith, when it floods, they're getting a cesspool.
Man, yeah.
Yes, I think we need to look at our leadership. Elections matter. I like George McGill as a person, but he legislative session after legislative session, conduit as well as the family council voted him the most liberal legislator in the legislature. We've got a city administrator who is far left, who proposed this huge tax increase. I mean, they go from a 10-year tax to fund parks and fire to a 20-year tax. Right. I mean, that they're asking the people to vote on. We need conservative leadership. We need folks who are going to look after taxpayers. Fort Smith has one of the highest tax rates in the country, 9.75%. Now they're trying to ram this tax down the taxpayers' throats in Fort Smith over a 2-month period when they've known about this forever with zero public input or discussion.
What do the people in Fort Smith need to know about these taxes? When did you mention that they're going to vote on it? No,
yeah, February 8th is the current date. Tonight,
what do citizens there need to know?
Tonight, December 20th, the board, I held a press conference last week trying to bring this to the public's attention, because if you polled probably 95% of the public, they don't even know that this is on the ballot. So after my press conference, apparently they started seeing the light and understand that this is a huge decision. This consent decree, number one, they can't pass additional bonds, because they don't meet the financial conditions. They have no money. They issued a bond and they sold that bond in 2018. They're out of bond money. This is an issue that's going to bankrupt the city. And they better understand that they better get the public on board. They better answer tough questions, and they better quit having secret votes. Whether a circuit court judge rules in their favor or not, they better quit having secret votes. What the people can do is contact their city directors and tell them, we're going to vote no on this. What I've proposed is that they vote no on February 8th if it's not pulled down, and then force them to come back with less years. They want 20 years to fund the fire and parks. I say that vote no, force them back to the table and shorten the number of years. if you get, there's zero accountability if you institute a tax for 20 years. In the other side, go ahead, Jenny.
Well, no, finish that thought, and then I have a question.
Yeah, on the other side of the equation, on the they're asking for 10 years to fund the sewer system, and I think that needs to be cut back because there's many variables. Number one, they want to say, oh, we're not, one of the carrots that they're trying to give to the folks of Fort Smith is we won't increase your utility rates for 2 years. They want to pass a 10-year tax, yet tell the people, I say that it should be tit for tat. We'll give you 5 years to increase our to pay for this malfeasance that occurred over decades. But you tell the citizens of Fort Smith that during that same period of time, we will not see utility rate increases. Not to mention the huge amount of inflation that we're seeing in this country. Now to couple that with all of these taxes is just totally unfair for the taxpayers of Fort Smith, Arkansas. Jenny, I would like to tell them vote no and tell them you'll never approve a tax, but literally that would bankrupt the city of Fort Smith because the feds are holding their feet to the fire again after literally decades of malfeasance. I mean, if you come to Fort Smith after a substantial rain, you will see it looks like you're in Yellowstone seeing a geyser of filth and sewer that is flowing out of manhole covers.
That is shameful, really. You mentioned earlier that accountability has taken a hit. I feel like every time you and I speak, there is another institution that violated the Freedom of Information Act. Most recently, I read about the Craighead County Jonesboro Public Library, once again hit with a FOIA violation.
Yep. When you say once again, several months back, this was relating to what I call pornographic material in their library. And my client found out that they were having not giving notice of meetings to this sensitive subcommittee material. And we sued them. They immediately said that they violated FOIA by not giving notice to the media. Media wasn't invited. And then a couple of months later, another client of mine asked for documents through the library. And what he received back were no documents. The documents that he did get back, checks, there was deleted, altered, the checks were altered on the back. It certainly gives the appearance of impropriety that where is this? I mean, they've got a $4 million budget in this Jonesboro Craighead library. So last week, they again admitted to a FOIA violation of not complying with FOIA, not giving over proper documents. And we've got another signed order where they violated FOIA for the second time in a matter of months.
I don't even know what to say about that. It almost feels like, okay, these institutions, a judge rules that they violated the Freedom of Information Act. It's a slap on the wrist, but then they just move forward. How can we talk about accountability, but what does that look like, to make sure that there's change moving forward?
Well, I think one way to bring accountability, we have and no matter what county you're in, right now we have about 15 transparency and government group chapters throughout the state. What we're looking for is chapters in every county, so that folks we've got to keep an eye on government. We've got to know what they're doing. And the first way we know what they're doing is by requesting documents through FOIA. And so we're having workshops in every county. We'll have a statewide workshop in March. But if there's any listeners out there, we can give them my contact information. We'd love to have your county involved in these transparency and government groups. And then after you get the records, again, it's just like Fort Smith. I got the records because I was listening to the open meeting and I'm like, they were talking about how one director said, I know it's not the board's wish to include parks in this allocation. And I was like, well, when did that occur?
How did they know that,
So-
right?
So yeah, and I FOIA'd the documents, and then I learned that they had a private meeting on Friday, where every individual board member was polled. Another one said it was a hard decision, and I'm like, what was a hard decision? And then I go back and I see how that particular board member voted in a private, secret meeting. So my point being is, we're teaching about FOIA. You need to tell your the attorney general candidates. I had a conversation with Tim Griffin on last week, where I said the focus of the attorney general's office needs to be protecting FOIA, educating the public about FOIA, and educating citizens or the public bodies about the Freedom of Information Act. In the Jonesboro case, I asked, a condition of my settlement is that they get training. So we've had 2 orders now where we've mandated that they get training with regard to FOIA open meetings and FOIA open records law.
Well, you would think that this would be a nonpartisan issue, the freedom of information, requesting documents. You would think that if everything is above board, if everything is, done correctly, there shouldn't be an issue. And so my hope is that, accountability continues and you just continue to bring more sunlight on these issues.
Well, recently we've had a verdict for a FOIA violation against the Fayetteville Public Schools with regard to critical race theory. In Centerton, we've got an agreed order we had a hearing on that one also, where they did not give up public records, and we sued them, got a judgment in that one as well. Fort Smith, several months back, we had a hearing before Judge Gunnar DeLay, who ruled that Fort Smith violated FOIA by not giving me public records, which I requested. We've got several other cases that we'll be filing shortly. It's an epidemic out there where public bodies are violating the Freedom of Information Act arrogantly.
Well, keep us updated on everything that you're working on. We're always very interested in this because we believe in accountability and sunshine as well.
Thank you.